Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and Matt Gaetz just laid out the case and laid out the host who was saying Biden should not be impeached. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. Matt Gaetz, went on CNN, he went into the Lion's Den, and there was a lot of back and forth about why Biden shouldn't be impeached right now. The arrest of Alexei Smirnov for lying to the FBI about the bribe that he said Hunter and Joe Biden took of $5 million from Burisma, that the FBI is now saying is a lie, which is why he was arrested. Republicans based a lot of their impeachment inquiry on the testimony of Mr. Smirnov. Now that's in a lot of doubt. And Abby Phillip, the host at CNN, she thought she had Gaetz dead to rights, but she didn't. Gaetz actually took her to school and gave the actual reasons why Biden should be impeached, and it goes a lot deeper than Smirnov. I want you to watch this video and then let me know what you think when you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Carmine Sabia for Explain America. We love you guys. God bless you. Take care, everybody.
Is that true?
I personally debriefed the whistleblower who initially identified this 1023 alleging a bribe with the Biden family. And that whistleblower told us at the time that he did not know whether or not that bribe had actually been consummated, but merely the existence of a 1023 that the FBI wasn't providing to Congress warranted further review. Now, when we initially asked for this 1023, we were told by the Department of Justice, it's got all these national security implications. We have to protect this confidential human source. So now what we have to decipher is which arm of the Department of Justice was telling us the truth. Because in these indictments that you see from Weiss, there are all these allegations that Smirnov could not have possibly observed these instances of bribery because he wasn't in the countries stated. But when we were debriefing the U.S. attorney from Pittsburgh, we got a very different version of events. Scott Brady told us that they could verify those travel records. So we got to figure out which part of the DOJ was telling the truth and which wasn't.
What Ken Buck is saying was that people in Congress were warned that this confidential source, what he was providing could not be verified. Is that part something that you were ever told, that what he had to say? And so given that, should that not have produced some more caution on the part of your colleagues, James Comer, Jim Jordan, as they talked about the value of the information that this source had provided?
I think what they talked about was the extent to which DOJ was entangled with this particular source, the number of cases he'd been involved in, the number of successful prosecutions based off that information.
They called this, I want to play for you what they said, but they called it basically a linchpin of the investigation. Listen.
The most corroborating evidence we have is that 1023 form from this highly credible, confidential human source.
Every day, this bribery scandal becomes more credible.
We already know the president took bribes from Burisma. I also want to add, betraying your country is treason.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is gold. This is direct evidence of naked corruption and bribery.
The evidence is overwhelming, Maria. The nails in the coffin.
Was that irresponsible?
A few of those characterizations might have been a little oversauced, but I do think that the bribery can also go to a family member, right? The reason I think it's still bribery, though, Abby, is because if you want to bribe a 75-year-old man, you pay their kids.
But here's the thing. You just acknowledged there's actually no evidence of bribery when it comes to what this confidential source had.
I did not acknowledge that.
You acknowledged that there's no proof. There's reports of bribery, but there's actually no proof of bribery actually being consummated.
I think that when you pay someone's family member in order to influence their decision, that is a bribe. Now, I recognize that that's probably not a view of bribery that's going to lead to an impeachment in the House. But yeah, how do you think you bribe old people? You pay their kids and their family members.
I mean, you can, in your mind, think about it however you want, but from a constitutional and even from a legal perspective, that's.
Well, I don't think so. I think you should read the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act again.
I just want to ask you, though.
You know that in the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, payment to a family member can constitute a bribe.
Here's what you said, Congressman, this was in October at a private fundraiser. You said, "I don't believe that we are endeavoring upon a legitimate impeachment of Joe Biden. They're trying to engage in a forever war of impeachment. And like so many of our forever wars, it will drag on forever and end in a bloody draw." Honestly, it seems like maybe you were right the first time.
When you've heard me speak about issues important to me, I haven't led with impeachment. I talk about the budget and single subject spending bills and term limits and things like that.
Your colleagues, given that, according to Jim Jordan, this was the most corroborating piece of evidence that they had, should they drop this impeachment at this point?
I disagree with Jordan that this is what's most corroborating. I think what's most corroborating are the payments to Hunter Biden and Frank Biden and James Biden. Like, I was deposing James Biden, and the way that they took money from the Chinese government would make your skin crawl. Now, that's admittedly James Biden, not Joe Biden, but I do believe when these foreign governments are loading up the entire Biden family apparatus with cash, they're not doing so to extract some sort of skill or service from these ne'er-do-well Bidens. They're doing it to influence Joe Biden.
Everything that you've described is an inference. It's basically saying, well, it must be, but there's actually you haven't actually given any proof of what you're alleging.
Okay, but
so
Abby, why do you think Burisma was paying Hunter Biden? You think they were paying him to figure out where to go buy crack in L.A.?
In the
I mean, they were paying him because he had access to Joe.
In the absence of actual proof,
but that
just
is
as
proof.
you said earlier, is this impeachment inquiry even going anywhere if you cannot provide enough evidence? Jonathan Turley, a conservative lawyer, he was brought before the committee to testify about this. He said there's not enough evidence to support articles of impeachment against Joe Biden.
Yeah, when Jonathan Turley said that, we should have asked Jamal Bowman to pull a fire alarm. It was a devastating moment for House Republicans. But I think the impeachment inquiry will have to rely on deciphering whether or not it was Weiss or Brady accurately assessing the travel of Smirnoff.
Do you think that's what the impeachment inquiry ought to be about? Or shouldn't it be about whether or not you actually have proof of bribery?
Well, let's assume that Brady's right, that Smirnoff indeed was in these places making these observations. And I'm not saying he is. I'm saying it's a contradiction. In that event, you could literally have a situation where Smirnoff is being arrested to facilitate the cover-up. Now, again, I think that requires us reviewing the travel records and getting more transparency out of the Department of Justice, more than they've been willing to give us to date.